Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
The Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton has left the 9/11 memorial event in New York early after feeling unwell. She was seen stumbling as she got into a car, raising concerns about her health with the presidential vote 2 months away. Our New York correspondent Nick Bryant reports.
This has become America's most solemn national day, the commemorations marking the anniversary of the attacks of 9/11. This year's event had already become more politicised than usual because of the presence at Ground Zero of the two presidential candidates, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. But it's these unexpected images on the fringes of the service that could turn it into one of the most memorable and talked about moments of the campaign. Hillary Clinton frail, stumbling, and seemingly almost fainting as she was carried into a waiting vehicle.
How do you feel, Secretary?
Not long afterwards, she emerged from her daughter Chelsea's apartment in New York.
It's a beautiful day in New York.
Making light of what had happened. Her campaign released a statement saying that after 90 minutes at Ground Zero, she felt overheated and departed. But it's the manner of that exit on such an important national day that gives it political meaning. Now, some people would look at those pictures and think, what's the big deal? It's a very hot day in New York, although not the heatwave conditions that we've had in recent days. But Donald Trump has repeatedly tried to make Hillary Clinton's stamina an issue in this campaign. That strikes many people as sexist. And many right-wing websites and newspaper tabloids, supermarket tabloids, have focused on her health. Now, she has tried to laugh them off. Recently, on a late-night TV show, she even offered the host to take her pulse to prove that she's alive. But I think these pictures are harder to make light of.
Nick Bryant in New York, thank you.
And let's dive on in, and it has been, for at least the past few hours, our lead story.
Yep.
Hillary Clinton left this 9/11 event clearly in some distress, and then came that user-generated content, as we call it, that shows that it was perhaps more serious than first thought.
Yeah, I mean, a really quite shocking video, actually. Again, I tend to sort of take a lot of these stories with a pinch of salt when you think, if you hear stuff from the Trump campaign, looked onto it and went, oh my goodness, and saw your footage. Yeah, it is very worrying. And again, there have been some issues and questions raised about her health. At 68 years old, recently she had a bad cough. But of course, because the Trump campaign had picked up on this, they were saying, oh, she's not fit and he's in this perfect health, having had this
How old is he?
rather straight. He's a bit older, isn't he?
He's older, isn't
Oh,
he?
no, but you don't remember, he's got that
70.
doctor who's pronounced him in perfect health. Rather bizarre letter. No, but that's the thing is, it's just you discount these things because Trump's got involved, but the footage is very worrying.
Well, it is, but this could happen to any of us,
Yeah.
as the cliche goes. You know, baking hot afternoon, wasn't it, or morning or whenever. The problem for her with this story is, in a way, her wider fitness to govern is her big pitch, you know, compared with Trump. And when you have headlines questioning your actual fitness, it's a really accessible story and quite difficult to counter when you've got the footage and all the rest of it. So even though it's relatively trivial in the sense that I think you're now running, that her doctor's saying she had pneumonia, not surprising that she felt awful in that heat in an event she couldn't miss.
Yeah, exactly. She had to be there.
So she had to be there. So there was a kind of logic to what happened. It's not unusual for someone with pneumonia to feel awful in the heat. But it's still difficult for her, I think, because it is such an accessible vision of weakness in a moment.
And especially
that's
for a woman. That's the thing,
Maybe,
these things.
or-
Although, there's some
I
footage
think
of Jimmy
it was-
Carter, actually, ahead of election, and he didn't win re-election, and he virtually collapsed at the end of a,
And we're
of a
not
race.
into it. In this country, Tony Blair had the issues with his heart, didn't he?
Yeah. In a way, politicians, although unfairly loathed, aren't allowed to show any sign of kind of ill health, or they're not allowed to be ill. You know, if you think about it, sometimes when prime ministers do prime minister's questions, they look awful.
Yeah.
But imagine if they missed them. you know, because they weren't feeling
There
well.
have
There
been
would be
acute cases, haven't
hysteria.
there? Well, of course, Theresa May and her diabetes, but no country in the world is more obsessed with the health of their leaders than
The
America.
US,
and the fact they
yeah.
actually release these, you know, their medical records and the fact that you know all these details about them, and it's just considered to be public knowledge and a right to know. Of course, it's the commander-in-chief and the head of state, which of course is different from.
And they know that, you know, even though, as I say, it's completely understandable, they know how serious this is, because I think she was then filmed later on, wasn't she? Looking okay later on in the day.
Well, what was
I think.
interesting, it was an hour and a half, that there was no contact from her people for an hour and a half, which suggested it was rather more serious. If it had been just a little wobble at a moment, they would have brought a
Yeah.
member of the press in 10 minutes later, and they didn't. But again, as you
Yeah.
say, people have, you know...
It could happen any
Arnold
day of the week.
Schwarzenegger could probably have a funny
I might
turn.
not be here for the 11 o'clock
Yeah,
show. You never
could
know.
happen.
Front page
Hot
of the
in the
Times.
studio.
Yeah, indeed.